Next up from the non-master grade kits I've been curious to try over the holidays is a kit that brought up a bit more questions than answers after building. The Full Mechanics 1100 Gundam Aerial. Going out of town, away from my home studio, I could only bring a few kits and just enough tools to make reviews for this channel. I narrowed down my choices to model kits that aren't master grades, so I could take in all the new model kit styles along with the new environment. A different place to stay in, a different desk to build at, and a different selection of kits that would give me a not so predictable building experience. I started with the Real Grade Gundam version 2.0, and I'd say it's pretty good. So now it's time to see if the Full Mechanics Gundam Aerial would also be any good. Taking a look at the box, since this is a 1/100 scale model kit, the size of the package is similar to the smaller and simpler master grades I've built. And when we check the cover art, I think it's also similar to what you see on master grade boxes, just without the master grade logo. But of course, it isn't a master grade, it is in fact the Full Mechanics kit. From what I understand, this line of Bandai kits omits all the intricacies of inner frames that master grades would have, but offers the appearance that wouldn't really look too out of place alongside master grades. We have sides showing a cropped box art with the Aerial's pilot, Soleta Mercury. This other side has some really nice angles showcasing the fully built model, and some images of the gimmicks and details they were able to fit in this Full Mechanics kit. And the last side shows off some poses you can do as well as more features. As far as packaging goes, I kinda like the layout of all of this. It just makes sense for some reason. Opening the box, we get 6 packs of runners, and we get a nice booklet style manual. I would have been annoyed if it was the fold out brochure type. I really find those to be inconvenient. Moving on, we get a total of 12 runners, although the red ones and the beam effects aren't full-sized sheets. And we get some sticker decals. The amount and size of parts here really remind me of the old 2.0 master grades, but I know this will be kind of different since there shouldn't be a full inner frame like the 2.0 master grades. But even if that's the case, I'm happy I'm trying a new model kit line to see what it's like. So here's the Full Mechanics Gundam Aerial, completely assembled with some of the sticker decals applied. As a master grade builder, I think this would blend in with my collection pretty nicely. The proportions are good, not overly slender or blocky anywhere. All pops of color here are actual pieces of plastic, no color correcting stickers to speak of, even for the eyes. Although it's kinda interesting that they didn't use clear colored plastic. The opaque green looks pretty okay to me, but it might be annoying for people who want to work on some custom LED mods. For something that isn't a master grade, I'm really impressed with the clear parts showing off the metallic red for the shell unit. This already looks great as a Full Mechanics kit. I can't wait for Bandai to make a master grade Gundam Aerial. And come to think of it, I still don't know why they gave Aerial an MGSD before a regular master grade. Anyway, this Gundam has an alternate form, so let's check it out. So here it is with all the shield bits attached as the bit-on form. Bit-on, bit-on? And the long barrel form for the rifle. This bit-on form looks pretty cool, but sometimes when I display it like this, it doesn't really look much like anything. I'm thinking it's because the color scheme of the shield blends in too much with the armor. So I'm highly considering giving this a full paint job, and I already have ideas for the colorway, so follow me on Instagram if you're interested in projects like that. Okay, since I'm still away from my home studio, here are a few other items that could give you an idea how big the Full Mechanics Gundam Aerial is. Some side cutters, an iPhone 16, a mug, a third-party PlayStation 4 controller, an old DSLR camera, a computer mouse, and finally, my most recent review, the Real Grade RX-782 Gundam version 2.0. I would have loved to compare this to a master grade, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't really get to tell it wasn't an MG if it wasn't beside, let's say, a Vercop. Now, for the accessories that come with the Gundam Aerial, it comes with the usual Gundam stuff, beam sabers, a rifle, and a shield, but they're a little more interesting than normal. More on that in a second. We also get some alternate fingers for fists, one trigger finger and one open hand, and then two holding hands for beam sabers. So looking closer at each accessory, the beam sabers have the flat linguini style beam effects. Not a very big fan of the blue though. Looks kinda bland and dark for a weapon that's supposed to be made of energy and light. Also, the holding hands don't really have a tight grip on the weapons. They don't have tabs that lock them into place, so you have to make good use of the thumbs. Anyway, when not in use, they can be stored on top of the backpack. Next, we have the rifle, which kinda looks boring on its own. I mean, the shape of it is pretty cool, but it's pretty much two gray pieces of plastic sandwiched together. So to make it more interesting, you got this humongous beam effect. It's been a while since I watched the show, so I don't remember if it's just a sword or if it's like a wider beam shot. Please enlighten me in the comments. And like the beam saber handles, not the most secure in the hands. You basically need to get the angle just right to have a good grip on the rifle. When not in use, you have this adapter to attach it on the back. Lastly, we have this really big shield with a few gimmicks like we saw in the earlier segment. To use it normally, you just attach it via peg on the arm. Then from there, you can do like a pincer weapon thing. Then, you can also divide it into pieces called bits and deploy them as remote weapons. Assuming you have enough action bases for it, or you get the sold separately Witch from Mercury action base set. But if you don't want them deployed, you can also attach them around the mobile suit as extra armor like earlier, which again looks okay, not my favorite. I think the kit has some pretty good accessories, but if you have some gripes like I do, you would probably want to paint this into more interesting colors. Before we talk about the build, if you've enjoyed this review of the Full Mechanics Gundam Aerial so far, please leave a like below. And if you've watched more than one of my videos, please consider subscribing. It would really help a lot. Thanks. Okay, now even though this isn't a master grade, the articulation isn't that bad. I think you'll be surprised with what this can do. Starting with the head, it's a ball joint, so it can wiggle around and swivel all the way. It also has a hinge at the base of the neck. That's it looking down all the way, and not so much looking up. We have a ton of joints in the shoulder like master grades do. Using all of those joints, you can get the arm to go up this high. The shoulder armor can swivel up. This layer on the outside can also swivel. And this flap underneath can also kind of swivel. We also have rotation on the upper arm, as well as the lower arm. With the elbow bend, it's pretty interesting. We have a hinge in the lower arm, which helps with this bend in the elbow. Pretty nice. And if we rotate the lower arm like this, there's actually an indent there that helps you bend the arm a bit. Hands are on ball joints, so you can wiggle and swivel, as well as with the thumb. Now for the torso, we have this flap of armor that can kinda hinge outward like this to give a little more space, as well as the one here at the bottom of the torso. There's a separate hinge at the base of the waist that makes it tilt forward like so. There are also mechanisms inside the torso that gives you this kind of ab crunch. You can also swivel side to side, so that's pretty useful, as well as going all the way around. For the backpack, there isn't really anything. You only have the hinges for the beam saber holders. Now down to the waist, we have the side skirts that can kind of swivel up and down, but not a lot. We have ball joints on the front skirts and no back skirts to speak of. We have a tracking mechanism for the hip joints that lets it kick this much forward and this much back. There should be a lot more rotation at the upper leg, but because the joint is fully covered by armor, you won't really get a full rotation there. Now for what I think is the best part of the mechanical design of this model kit, we have all this sliding armor for this knee bend. You can see all the exposed mechanical design in there. It's pretty cool. Here it is again when you close it up. Looks really nice. The back of the knee also has nice detail. Those pipes get hidden when you bend the knee. And it's not even a master grade. The ankle guards are on ball joints, so you can just wiggle that around to where you need it to be. And then for the ankles, it can let the foot point down this far and up this far. It can also rotate this far side to side. And then for the toe bend, it can also do this really far two-jointed toe bend for some nice ground poses. It definitely doesn't feel as hefty as master grades, but the appearance and the articulation I think makes it worth getting if you really want a Gundam Aerial in 1/100 scale. And it really just makes me excited for the day Bandai decides to make an actual master grade Gundam Aerial. Posing the Full Mechanics Gundam Aerial is actually pretty good. It doesn't have top-of-the-line features like the ability to look up, but I think you can still get some nice angles to work on. It doesn't have a lot of problem points. The only kinda loose joints here are in the feet, but honestly, you just have to make sure the ankles are planted properly to avoid it toppling over. Or even better, use the adapter for an action base and you won't even have to think about ankles bearing weight at all. I know I mentioned earlier that the hands aren't perfect either when it comes to holding the accessories, but like the ankles, you just have to make sure they're in the proper position so they don't fall out. So if you put in an extra second or two into getting things into position, you can get the Gundam Aerial to look pretty dynamic. Putting together the Full Mechanics Aerial definitely felt simple. It sort of felt like a bigger high grade in a sense, with a bit more mechanical moving parts designed into the outer armor. It also has somewhat of an inner frame, but not really, just like a high grade. Most of it is really just to have good enough joints. But honestly, most people don't really display the inner frames of their master grades anyway, so I don't think not having an inner frame is essentially a bad thing. But as an avid fan of master grades myself, there still are some nuances that I think the Aerial would benefit from if Bandai opted to make Aerial into a master grade. I think they could work in more articulation, especially in the neck for looking up. They could give us some hand parts and weapons that have an easy snug fit. And they could even rework the shield to have like a more premium feeling construction. As it is in its full mechanics and design, I think this Gundam Aerial is an okay model kit, but it still makes me dream about it being better. Overall, the Full Mechanics Gundam Aerial has the looks of a master grade, but has the feel of a high grade. And if you think about it, if all you care about is the scale being 1/100 anyway, you're paying less for a master grade level display piece. The construction is on the simpler side for sure, seeing as it doesn't have a proper inner frame. So it's easy and fast to put together. I know it takes a lot of putting things into perspective if you can't help but compare it to how master grades are, but the thing is, it's not a master grade, but it's still a nice 1/100 kit. With all the pros and cons, if you're willing to try something different for your collection, I'd say this Full Mechanics Gundam Aerial would be a nice and easy display piece to go with your master grades or just in general. Thanks for watching. If you've built this kit or have thoughts on it, let me know in the comments. Speaking of comments, I want to give a quick shout out to JohnnyBomb1 for their comment in my previous video. I hope you stay tuned, my guy, because I'll be trying more real grades this year. Finally, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more builds and reviews. See you in the next one.